The Great Ruler Episode 129 Explanation. Luo Li casually strode forth with lotus-like steps. Along with every step, her default silvery long hair was turning black. In a few breaths' time, her radiant and cold hair had become as black as ink. Naturally, the changes were not only limited to her hair, but even her temperament was also changing along with it. If she was usually serene like a lotus in a deep valley with outstanding independent charm, the current her was emitting a cold chill. Her crystal-clear eyes were filled with chill, as if she was a queen that overlooked everyone like ants before her throne. Up in the sky, Ji Xian and Shui Qianhe blinked their eyes as they looked at Luo Li's current state with heavy gazes. Clearly, they had a strange, dangerous feeling. However, they did not speak as they knew that Luo Li naturally had her own trump cards. However, they also weren't people that were easy to mess with, and, right now, with the both of them joining hands, it would definitely not be an easy task for Luo Li to face the two of them, even if she possessed a powerful trump card. "Ha, looks like you're planning to face the two of us." Shui Qianhe spoke with an eerie gaze and a weird laughter. Luo Li indifferently looked at him without replying to his words. She lightly placed both of her hands together and formed an ancient seal as her soft voice resounded. "Luo River." Boom! When the two words rang out, a tornado abruptly formed in this region. The spiritual energy existing between the heavens and earth was also going berserk. Intense fluctuations appeared behind Luo Li, and, after that, under countless startled gazes, a vast river appeared, and the end of the river couldn't be seen. That river was extremely radiant. It was wriggling as if it was an ancient dragon, leaving others stunned by it. Although this river was just an illusion, the vastness that it gave off left countless others in a daze. It was so much so that even the deans of the various spiritual academies had slightly changed, startled expressions on their faces. The 5 great deans blinked with graveness as they looked at the ancient river. Rustle. Vaguely, there was a clear sound of flowing water, and within that sound, something appeared as if it harbored a peculiar energy that was intoxicated by it. Luo Li still maintained a calm expression as she formed seals with one hand before her chest. Boom! Within the wriggling ancient river, a torrential war pillar instantly soared into the sky as everyone's expressions changed while witnessing the river take the form of a colossal pair of wings that unfolded. The spiritual energy between the heavens and earth instantly turned violent. The pillar of water turned into mist as it descended, revealing a light image that was roughly 100 feet high. The fighter was slim and graceful as it hovered above the ancient river, and her appearance was somewhat similar to Luo Li, but at the same time, it wasn't. She lightly flapped her wings as an indescribable beauty was being emitted. Everyone in this world lost color in comparison to her. She was like the embodiment of beauty. Also, everyone could sense a gush of powerful spiritual energy fluctuations around her. They were all dumbfounded as they watched the scene. Up in the sky, the faces of Ji Xian and Shui Qianhe couldn't help changing. The former had his brows tightly locked together, while the latter seemed to have figured something out as a smear of astonishment flashed across his eyes, before he cried, "That's the Luo River's spirit? Luo River's spirit?" Ji Xian's heart was also startled as his pupils shrank, the most mysterious spiritual beast that was rank 5 of the Myriad Beast Records Earth ranking. In the Great Thousand World, the Myriad Beast Records was divided into 2 rankings, and the Earth ranking was a category of spiritual beasts, thus it was sometimes known as the Spiritual Beast Records. Within the Spiritual Beast Records, there was a type of spiritual beast that was ranked 5th, the Luo River Spirit. From a certain angle, the Luo River Spirit was the most mysterious type of existence in the Spiritual Beast Records, since it wasn't born through a bloodline, but a mysterious type of existence that used the Luo River as the mother's body. In the primordial times of the Great Thousand World, there was a mysterious river known as the Luo River. That river seemed to have existed from the primordial times, being extremely ancient, and the power contained within it was endless and profound. However, it was destroyed in a dreadful tribulation from a foreign invasion. After that, it was extremely rare for the Luo River Spirit to appear. The Luo River Spirit required a harsh condition to be born. Not only did it require the Luo River to act as a mother's body, but it also required someone to be perfectly compatible with it to fuse with when it was still in the infant stage within the mother's body. Otherwise, the instant a Luo River spirit was born, it would disappear into nothingness and fade away into the Luo River. The fusion was extremely bizarre as well. Not only would it not cause any harm to the main body, it would complement both parties on the path of cultivation. Thus, it was known as something that cultivators would drool at. In the primordial times, before the Luo River was destroyed, there was a group of experts that was extremely compatible with the Luo River spirit, and this particular group was a powerful force that played a huge role in protecting the Great Thousand World from that tribulation. But now that the Luo River was destroyed, it was clearly impossible for that group to return to glory like it had in the past. Thus, the Luo River spirit gradually became the most mysterious spiritual beast within the spiritual beast records. The four upper rankings of the spiritual beast records were the four great spirits, the azure dragon, the white tiger, the vermilion bird and the black tortoise. However, they were only symbolic as the bloodlines possessed by those four were impossible to be restricted to the spiritual beast records. Not only did they possess high rankings within the spiritual beast records, it was even more fearsome in the myriad beast records' heavenly rankings, which was also commonly known as the divine beast records, in which their rankings were also at the top ranks. The sole reason why those four occupied the top four rankings of the spiritual beast records was that they were required to get through their infant stages before becoming a genuine divine beasts. Thus, speaking from a certain angle, the first rankings of the spiritual beast records could be considered the Luo River spirit, which was at the fifth ranking. Furthermore, the Luo River spirit also possessed the ability to evolve. Although it wasn't bound by bloodlines, it was extremely dreadful when it evolved. The Luo River spirit would become the Luo River's god. The strength it possessed could only be rivaled by those sovereign divine beasts that had been cultivating for countless years. This was why the Luo River spirit was extremely rare at this time, which was the reason why Shui Qianhe and Ji Xian's faces were so unsightly when they saw Luo Li summon that image. She's actually the host of a Luo River spirit, how is that possible? Ji Xian muttered with his brows knitted. Although the Luo River has already been destroyed, there are still remnants of it, and within the Luo god clan, there is a hidden Luo River. However, I never expected that puny remnant of the Luo River could actually give birth to a Luo River spirit. Really, what good fortune. Shui Qianhe's face was ashen as he spoke with his teeth gritting. So that's the case. Ji Xian nodded his head from his explanation. HMPH, but there's nothing to fear. That Luo River spirit is still at its infant stage. It hasn't fully grown up yet. Shui Qianhe spoke with a cold snort. Ji Xian's gaze flickered as it returned back to indifference. Then I'll take a look and see just what you can do to me. Shui Qianhe's gaze was eerie. Now that when Qing Xian had been defeated, it wasn't possible for Luo Li to stand alone. Even if she revealed such an astonishing trump card of hers, Shui Qianhe also wasn't trash that could be dealt with so easily. He made an eerie smile towards Luo Li as he issued a deep roar. His arms, which were hideous and scarlet red in color to begin with, were inserted into the head of the demonic blood beast. After that, everyone witnessed his arms violently wriggling, as if a fresh blood-red being was constantly being injected into the demonic blood beast. As blood surged in, the hideous demonic blood beast grew even redder in color. The spikes that were protruding from its back were slowly extending as it became even more sinister and dreadful. Roar! The demonic blood beast faced the sky as it roared. The soaring ominous aura instantly made the color of the heavens and earth change. Demonic blood bell. When Shui Qianhe's roar resonated, bloody light suddenly shot out from the demonic blood beast's mouth as it expanded and transformed into a colossal bloody bell. The colossal bloody bell looked as if it was made from blood. Even at this moment, blood was still dripping off it. On the surface of the bell, countless hideous faces were issuing screams that resounded between the heavens and earth. Furthermore, those screams seemed like they had the power to affect the heart of a person as countless students around the battle stage felt the spiritual energy in their bodies going slightly out of control, even their blood showed signs of boiling. Boom! The demonic blood beast brandished its fist as it heavily slammed against the demonic blood bell. In an instant, torrential ominous aura engulfed the heavens and earth as 100-foot bloody light gushed forth. It was like a roaring dragon that ran along the bizarre sound waves that shot towards Luo Li. Luo Li raised her eyes. There weren't any ripples on her gorgeous face. She only raised her jade-like hand, and the huge image in possession of absolute beauty also lifted her hand. Boom! A surging stream that looked gentle charged and gently clashed with the bloody light. Creak! Creak! In that moment of collision, there weren't any spiritual energy impacts spreading out. However, the bloody light instantly broke down as it was dissolved by that clear and gentle stream of water. The primordial Luo River originally possessed the ability to dissolve all things in the world. Smashing Shui Qianhe's attack with a move, Luo Li did not provide him any time to recover as she formed seals with her hand and the clear stream of water converged into torrential waves. In a flash, it was already above the demonic blood bell as it engulfed it. Creak! Creak! There was a series of creaking sounds, before the demonic blood bell was dissolved into nothingness upon being engulfed by the waves. Shui Qianhe's face instantly changed. However, before he could unleash another wave of attacks, he felt the surrounding space being chaotic. After that, he blinked his eyes as he saw the surrounding space being torn apart. Torrential clear water rushed out as it turned into a lake, trapping him within. That attack that looked gentle made Shui Qianhe feel fatal danger. The clear flowing sound of water was lingering in the sky, and because of that crisp noise, many students felt their scalps numbing. Clearly, they sensed the dreadful power contained within that gentle flowing water. The clear and gentle water flow changed from a huge stream into a lake as it engulfed Shui Qianhe, as well as the demonic blood beast within. Shui Qianhe's face was extremely unsightly as he looked at the clear flowing water that surrounded him. However, he wasn't someone that would sit still and wait for death. His eyes turned dark as his seals changed, the demonic blood beast roared as it widened its hideous mouth. A huge ray of bloody light shot out as rampant spiritual energy ripples swept out. Poof! It wasn't very effective when the ferocious bloody light slammed against the wall of water, and under the scour of the water flow, it was rapidly dissipating. The lake that looked gentle was an impenetrable prison, at this moment, that had Shui Qianhe imprisoned within. Luo Li stood in midair as she looked at Shui Qianhe, who was intensely struggling. Shortly after, she extended her hand as she lightly pointed down. Boom! The gentle lake suddenly turned violent and vaguely, a savage face started to appear. The water flows shrunk as torrential waves ruthlessly slammed against the colossal figure of the demonic blood beast, along with a peculiar ripple. Creak! Creak! Howling shrieks rang out from the impact of the waves. Mist rose from the colossal figure of the demonic blood beast as large patches of blood and flesh were being dissolved. Naturally, the demonic blood beast was not a corporeal body, it was just the form of a soul. What was dissolved weren't the genuine flesh and blood, but pure spiritual energy and soul essences. Thus, faced with the constant scouring of the vast lake, everyone clearly witnessed the scene of the demonic blood beast's colossal figure rapidly shrinking, and clearly, the reason was due to the spiritual energy being constantly exhausted. Shui Qianhe's face was pale as he stood on the shoulder of the demonic blood beast, his gaze was overwhelmed with shock. No matter how he tried to resist, there was no way he could defend against the gentle and clear-looking lake. Thus, he could only stare as the demonic blood beast was being dissolved by the torrential lake. In less than 10 breaths' time, the demonic blood beast that was trapped in the torrential lake already shrunk to half of its original size, even the violent spiritual energy ripples started to wither. Serpent of the Luo River. Luo Li's gorgeous face still maintained her calm look as she formed seals with one hand. Hiss! A piercing hiss resounded from the lake, and with a rustle, the lake was torn apart as a dozen water pythons scuttled forth, swinging their tails as they twined onto the demonic blood beast. That dreadful energy instantly restricted the movement of the demonic blood beast. The power behind it seemed to be trying to crush the demonic blood beast to shreds. Shui Qianhe's face was hideous as he planted both of his arms into the demonic blood beast as the blood essence in his body gushed out. But despite his efforts, he could only barely defend. Also, he felt that as the pressure was getting stronger, his defense was gradually withering away. This dissolving ability of the Luo River was simply too overbearing. When innumerable students around the battle stage witnessed that scene, they could not help exclaiming as no one had thought that Luo Li's trump cards would be so powerful when she revealed them. The instant she moved, she managed to thoroughly suppress Shui Qianhe. Senior Sister Luo Li, go for it? Many students in the direction of the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy had excited expressions as they yelled their cheers. Although they lost their strongest participant, Chen, Luo Li's performance made them feel startled as well. Although the champion of this great spiritual academy tournament had yet to emerge, no one could deny that the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy was the brightest. Creak! Under the torrential yells, Xueqian's face grew even paler as creaking noises came from the body of the colossal demonic blood beast. It was a sign that it had reached its limits. If this went on, the demonic blood beast would certainly be destroyed, and at that time, Xueqian would also suffer heavy injuries and wouldn't have any power to fight Luo Li. Li! Just when Xueqian was about to reach his limits, an ancient hawk cry rang out between the heavens and earth. Everyone's eyelids twitched as they saw the illusion of a hawk descending from the sky. That illusion looked as if it had torn through space and entered the lake to strike Xueqian's body. Boom! Boom! That image flashed as numerous pythons were being destroyed. Boom! Sensing that the restraint had weakened, Xueqian immediately controlled the demonic blood beast to soar into the horizon, escaping from the engulfment of the lake, before he stopped his tracks in midair, looking miserable. A smear of palpitation flashed across his eyes. He never expected that after Luo Li unveiled her trump card of the Luo River Spirit, she would become so powerful that he nearly carelessly lost his life. Seeing Xueqian escape from the imprisonment, Luo Li slightly knitted her brows as she raised her head, looking at another direction as she spoke with a calm tone. You finally summoned the primordial sky dragon hawk. Countless gazes rose as they saw Ji Xian standing not far away with vast spiritual energy fluctuations behind him. Amongst the spiritual energy fluctuations, everyone could see the gradual appearance of a colossal hawk-like illusion. That colossal hawk unfolded wings that could even cover mountains. It was dark purple in color, and on the head region, it wasn't the head of a hawk, but a ferocious dragon. Its sharp claws were the claws of a dragon. It was a creature that wasn't a dragon or a hawk. The primordial sky dragon hawk, rank 8 of the spiritual beast records. The primordial sky dragon hawk was a pretty violent supreme spiritual beast. Although this spiritual beast possessed a slight bloodline of a mixed dragon, it was precisely the fusion of this bloodline that created a variant, thus allowing the primordial sky dragon hawk to surpass it. Rumor had it that when this spiritual beast had cultivated to the end, it could even feast on dragons. Naturally, the dragons were only those powerful spiritual beasts that possessed a strand of a dragon's bloodline. However, this wasn't a reason to belittle it, since it proved the ferocity of the primordial sky dragon hawk. Primordial sky dragon hawk, although its ranking is pretty high, you can't be thinking that you can contend against the Luo River Spirit with it, right? Luo Li's pupils were staring at the colossal primordial sky dragon hawk as her voice resounded without any ripples. Ha ha, the Luo River Spirit is famed as the numero uno of the spiritual beast records. Naturally, it's not possible for me to fight it based on the soul essence of the primordial sky dragon hawk. Ji Xian made a slight smile as he looked at Luo Li and continued his speech. After utilizing the Luo River Spirit, your strength must be endlessly close to the sovereign realm, right? The moment his voice resounded, it made countless students astonished in their hearts as they looked at the gorgeous silhouette with revere. The sovereign realm, it was a divider that was nearly similar to shredding one's mortal body and bones. Only by entering into the sovereign realm can they be called experts. Although the sovereign realm and spirit disaster were only a level apart, the gap between those two wasn't something that could be complemented with ordinary means. Right now, Luo Li was endlessly close to the sovereign realm, which also meant that she was basically invincible beneath the sovereign realm. This sort of strength could make one an elder of some spiritual academies. Xueqian was startled in his heart as well. No wonder I was suppressed. Luo Li's strength is so powerful to such an extent. Although they had also gone through the third-grade spiritual disaster, Luo Li surpassed them by a huge gap. Originally, I wanted to leave you to Chen to deal with. But now, I feel that you're not even qualified to be his opponent. Luo Li said with a faint tone. The smile on Ji Xian's face seemed to freeze a little at this moment as the corner of his lips twitched. His charming face also turned ferocious as he stared at Luo Li, as if he wanted to devour her. Clearly, the latter's words had given him a huge impact to the point that he could not maintain his poker face. "You're saying that I'm not qualified to be that loser's opponent, who had lost to me time and time again?" Ji Xian deeply inhaled a mouthful of air as his face distorted. An eerie laughter seeped from his mouth as he slightly shook his head. Deceiving others and deceiving oneself isn't a good feeling. If he is that capable, then he should be the one saying that, but it's a pity that he doesn't have that qualification. Luo Li wasn't enraged from his words, but had a smile instead. That smile of hers startled innumerable people as she slowly lifted the Luo God sword in her hand. "It's not up to you to decide if he has that qualification. Bring out your true ability. If your trump card is only the soul essence of the primordial sky dragon hawk, then I'll be a little too disappointed." Ji Xian's distorted face gradually calmed down as he took a deep glance at Luo Li and slowly shut his eyes. He slowly spread his arms as an indifferent voice resonated in the sky. "Since you are asking for it, then let me fulfill your request. I will show you which one of us isn't qualified to become the other party's opponent." Boom! When Ji Xian finished his last word, everyone could sense a dreadful power that surpassed the boundary of spirit disaster sweep from Ji Xian's body like a hurricane. That instant, everyone's faces changed. The spiritual energy between the heavens and earth turned violent as everyone looked up at the sky in astonishment. Ji Xian was standing in midair as he placed both of his hands behind him, looking as if he was in control of everyone. The space behind him constantly twisted and fluctuated and showed signs of rupturing. In the distorted space, a vast ocean could be faintly seen. The sea looked exceptionally radiant as it was filled with divine light spiritual energy. The vastness of it could even crush mountains. A peculiar pressure was emitted from the illusionary ocean. It was that pressure that changed the faces of countless students with shock in their eyes. That pressure wasn't something a spirit disaster expert could possess, it was a distinct pressure belonging to sovereign experts. "That's the sovereign sea." Looking at the faintly distinctive ocean in the shattered space, someone muttered, since he couldn't help inhaling a mouthful of air. A genuine sovereign expert possessed two unique traits, the sovereign celestial body and the sovereign sea. Upon reaching this level of cultivation and successfully ascending to the sovereign realm, the aura sea within a person would shatter and be replaced with the sovereign sea. Shattering the aura sea and forming the sovereign sea. Everyone knew that the aura sea was the converging point of spiritual energy in the human body. If other means were excluded, their strength could be measured based on the size of spiritual energy in their body. Naturally, upon reaching the sovereign realm, the aura sea would shatter and be replaced with the sovereign sea as it was more complete and robust compared to the aura sea. Although the aura sea existed in the body, it was essential to cultivators, but speaking from a particular angle, it was also the weakest. The moment the aura sea was destroyed, then their path in cultivation would come to an end, and all their hard work in cultivation would be for naught. As for the sovereign sea, it was incredibly profound. Not only did it purely exist in the human body, it also formed a profound small world. The small world was concealed in the body, thus, compared to the aura sea, it was more mysterious, more significant and more powerful. The toughness of it was something that the aura sea could never be compared to. Furthermore, the most critical point was that the instant the sovereign sea was formed, it could be concealed in the cultivator's spirit. Thus, even if their physical body was destroyed, as long as their spirit and sovereign sea still existed, it was just a matter of time before they could refine another physical body. Thus, the sovereign sea and sovereign celestial body were the distinct traits of a sovereign expert. One could preserve their life, while the other could increase their fighting power. This was also the reason why everyone was drooling for this realm. But, right now, the illusionary ocean behind Ji Xian was the sovereign sea. Since Ji Xian had formed his sovereign sea, didn't that imply that he had ascended to the sovereign realm? Countless people were exchanging looks as they quietly gulped a mouthful of saliva. Their eyes filled with astonishment. Ji Xian had concealed his strength a little far too deep. Now that things have come to this, what's the point of this competition? The sovereign realm wasn't something that students of their level could contend with. In the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy region, Yi Qingling, Yu Shi, and Su Ling's faces were pale. Before a genuine sovereign, all means were useless. His sovereign sea is not complete yet. Ling Shi, who had been staring at the battle stage, spoke out. When Yi Qingling and the rest heard her comment, they all instantly directed their gazes at her. This Ji Xian is indeed very talented to touch the foothold of the sovereign realm at such a young age. However, a genuine sovereign sea is way more perfect. Right now, the edge of that space shows signs of shattering. Clearly, he is only barely able to form the sovereign sea, and the spiritual energy in it is a little too thin. I'm afraid that he used an external force to accomplish that. Ling Shi was, after all, an elder of the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. Thus, her eyesight wasn't something that Yi Qingling and the rest could compare to, so, naturally, she had seen the flaws of Ji Xian's sovereign sea. However, when she complimented Ji Xian's talent, she neglected the fact that her age wasn't much different from his. If he was very talented, then she was a monster amongst monsters. Naturally, the more significant reason was that she had followed Mu Chen's mother for some time. Nurtured by an expert compatible with a heavenly sovereign, this was a rare honor that not many people could experience in the Great Thousand World. Is that so? Yi Qingling and the rest felt relieved from her words. But don't be too optimistic. Even if it isn't a complete sovereign sea, the power in it far surpasses spirit disaster. Although Luo Li possesses the Luo River spirit, it is a growth-type spiritual beast. And at this stage, the power it can aid her isn't as big as you guys imagine. Ling Shi lightly shook her head as she poured a pail of cold water onto them. Yi Qingling and the rest bitterly smiled as they nodded their heads. At the current situation, there was nothing they could do to help Luo Li but to pray for her victory. Ling Shi slightly raised her head as her pair of charming eyes pierced through the battle stage to the mirror of judgment that hovered in midair as she went silent for a moment before muttering to herself, "Are you going to give up in this way?" The spiritual energy between the heavens and earth violently whistled as Ji Xian proudly stood in the air. Under the vast ocean that was faintly visible from the shattered space, his temperament seemed to be slightly overlooking all heroes in disdain. "Luo Li, do you still feel that he is qualified to be my opponent?" Ji Xian sneered as he slowly spoke while looking at Luo Li. Facing Ji Xian's sneer, Luo Li did not bother to dispute with him and revealed a faint smile. However, it was this expression of hers that made Ji Xian's face a little hideous as he sensed the meaning behind that gentle smile of hers. She was in disdain to dispute with him as she had an unshakable answer in her heart. "I'll see how long you can last. No matter what you think, at least others will understand that he is only a loser." Ji Xian's gaze turned eerie as he took a step forth. A chill surged in his eyes as he flipped his palm over and abruptly pushed out. Boom! The spiritual energy between the heavens and earth turned violent at this moment as an astonishing gush of spiritual energy swept out from the vast ocean, forming into a corporeal palm of divine light as it slammed down. Rumble! The firm golden ground cracked. Ji Xian did not execute any technique as he only used pure and vast spiritual energy. But precisely so, the power of this attack was indescribable. Luo Li's eyes flashed cold as she tightened her grip on the Luo god sword. The Luo River spirit within the ancient wriggling Luo River behind her also made a grasping gesture as lake water gushed forth, forming into a large long sword, and the both of them slashed down. Whoosh! A sword light of 1,000 feet brandished down, along with absolute piercing sword intent that soared into the skies. Boom! The sword light and divine light violently clashed. The blast wave swept out, wreaking havoc as it swept up a hurricane. "I'll see how long you can last under my attacks." Ji Xian eerily smiled as he tapped the sole of his feet and his figure soared into the sky. In that instant, he lifted both of his hands. Everyone felt the heavens and earth jolt as the sovereign sea concealed in the space was flipping with waves. Countless rays of divine light soared into the sky and rapidly converged into huge palms. That scene made innumerable people feel their scalps numbing. Such a powerful attack was incredibly exhausting for the spiritual energy, and right now, Ji Xian was doing it so casually. The heavens and earth darkened. The countless palms of divine light were like meteors as they tore through the heavens and earth as they descended towards Luo Li. Luo Li's face was heavy as she deeply inhaled a mouthful of air and lifted her hand. The Luo River swept out as it protected her within. It was wriggling like a water dragon as it coiled around. Boom! 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 Countless palms were slamming against the Luo River from multiple directions. Even the golden battle stage showed signs of being incapable of withstanding it from the impacts as huge cracks were continually spreading out. Everyone lifted their heads at this scene. They could see that the Luo River protecting Luo Li was rapidly dimming from the dreadful attacks of the palms made of divine light. Countless students of the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy tightly clenched their teeth and fists. Anyone could tell that the force of Ji Xian's spiritual energy had reached a degree that even Luo Li couldn't withstand. Boom! Boom! Luo Li started to sway and had finally reached her limits. Along with a crisp sound, the Luo River turned into sparkles of light in the sky and exploded. The Luo River's spirit had also dissipated at this moment as it turned into a ray of light and entered Luo Li's body. Luo Li issued a faint groan as her slender figure was sent flying back. Watch out! When Luo Li's defense was broken, when Qingxuan's face abruptly changed as she saw a torrential bloody light at the rear of Luo Li, Xue Qianhe appeared with a hideous expression on his face as he launched a punch towards the fatal point behind Luo Li. When Qingxian clenched her teeth as she tapped her feet and pushed the remnant spiritual energy in her body as she swiftly appeared behind Luo Li. She was actually going to help Luo Li withstand Xue Qianhe's attack. Senior sister. In the area of the Myriad Phoenix Spiritual Academy, the faces of innumerable girls changed. Xue Qianhe, you bastard! In the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy, many students were cursing in rage as well. Clearly, that despicable move from Xue Qianhe had attracted their anger. HMPH. Xue Qianhe's face was eerie when he faced the curses. Not only did he not pull back his punch, he even utilized all the spiritual energy in his body and threw a heavy punch towards Wen Qingxian and Luo Li. He was apparently going to be ruthless and ruin the flowers. The situation was perilous. Go die? Xue Qianhe roared with sinister laughter as his punch landed, showing no quarter. Rumble. However, just when Xue Qianhe's fist was about to hit Wen Qingxian, an extremely violent thunder roared. Up in the sky, the deans of the various spiritual academies, as well as the 5 great deans, blinked their eyes as they swiftly looked at the Mirror of Judgment. Ripples appeared on the surface of the Mirror of Judgment, and after that, an eye-piercing radiance shot out. The speed of that lightning was neck-breaking, and it took merely an instant for it to appear above Wen Qingxian. After that, everyone saw a fist that looked to have been made from lightning pierced through space and heavily slammed against Xue Qianhe's body. Boom! Xue Qianhe's figure was instantly shot down and became deeply embedded in the golden battle stage. His upper body was already severely mangled up from the attack. Thus, the curses that were initially filling this region instantly came to a halt. Innumerable people were stunned for a moment, before quickly raising their heads to see a slender silhouette walking out of the lightning. He made an embrace with his arms as he held onto Luo Li and Wen Qingxuan's slim waists. After that, his figure flashed and appeared above the golden battle stage. Lightning gradually weakened, and a slender and towering silhouette slowly emerged before everyone's eyes. Lightning flickered on the golden bat stage. Along with the dissipation of lightning, a familiar silhouette gradually appeared under the countless astonished gazes. When they clearly saw the appearance of that silhouette, innumerable people instantly blinked their eyes, so much so that there were even some were blinking their eyes with fear written on their faces, as if they had seen a ghost. That's Mu Chen. Wasn't he trapped in the Mirror of Judgment? Why is he here? How is that possible? Could he have possibly escaped from the Mirror of Judgment? That's way too frightening. A commotion rang out between the heaven and earth. Almost everyone had their eyes widened in disbelief. Clearly, the shock this scene brought them wasn't inferior to Ji Xian bringing out his sovereign sea. The students of the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy were also startled as they watched this scene. However, they swiftly recovered from their shock as ecstasy surged in their eyes, followed by deafening cheers. Whoa, Brother Mu has appeared. Ha ha, no wonder he's the overlord of our Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy's heavenly ranking. Brother Mu, deal with those 2 bastards. Every single student of the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy revealed an excited expression. Although Luo Li possessed surprising strength as well, she had been too low profile in the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy, whereas Mu Chen had charged forth with appalling speed ever since he entered and became the brightest star of the academy. Moreover, as he surpassed his limits time and time again, he started to receive the genuine acknowledgement from everyone in the academy, even when he replaced Shen Tsangsheng as the overlord of the heavenly ranking. No one was unconvinced by it, since they knew that he did possess that sort of qualification. Unknowingly, in the hearts of every student, Mu Chen had become the benchmark of their Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy, which also became a sort of conviction. Thus, when they saw the appearance of Mu Chen, the excitement in their hearts could not be concealed and leaked out. This fellow, Su Ling's eyes flickered with radiance as she looked at the slender silhouette in the golden battle stage. She bit her rosy lips as her hands became tightly clenched from the excitement. Big brother Mu Chen finally appeared. I knew he wouldn't let us disappointed. Yu Shi's face was filled with revere. Yi Qingling also took a breath of relief as she looked at the sudden burst of splendor in the eyes of Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy students. Initially, they were a little dejected, but at this moment, they seemed to have been injected with unbounded confidence as their faces were filled with excitement. It appears that they have always believed that as long as Mu Chen appeared, he would be able to turn the situation around. Because ever since Mu Chen entered the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy, he had never let anyone feel disappointed in his actions. That youth gave others an irresistible faith that came from his self-confidence. No matter how powerful his opponent was, he never retreated and was overflowing with fighting intent. Showing off to save beauties the moment he appears, really, Ling Shi lightly smiled as her tensed figure also gradually loosened up. A smile hung on the corner of her lips as Mu Chen's performance had not disappointed her. And under the earth-shattering commotion, Mu Chen lowered his head as he glanced at the two girls in his embrace on the golden battle stage as he spoke. Are the two of you all right? Luo Li's gaze was filled with pleasant surprise as she looked at the familiar face with a smile and shook her head shortly after. When Wen Qingxian saw Mu Chen's face, she was also stunned, before being woken up by the commotion and realized that Mu Chen was embracing her waist. In an instant, her face flushed red as she immediately struggled in Mu Chen's arm as she stared at him with hatred. You're trying to take advantage of me. Looking at the raging girl, Mu Chen spoke with helplessness. Look at the situation, I'm saving you, okay? HMPH, does it feel good to embrace one in each hand? When Qingxian was unconvinced as she snorted, furthermore, your demeanor is a little too bad to let two girls fight for so long. Mu Chen scratched his head as he looked at Ji Xian, who was in midair. His black pupils flashed with eerie light as he showed a faint smile. Sorry about that, I'll be taking over the battle. Can you do it? That fellow even established his sovereign sea. Although he isn't a genuine sovereign realm expert, he is still an existence that we can't hold a candle to. Despite glancing at him with doubt, there was a hint of worry in the depth of Wen Qingxuan's eyes. Let me help you. I can still fight. Although he has established his sovereignty, if I were to fight, I might not lose to him. Luo Li also spoke out in a soft tone. Mu Chen smiled as he lightly shook his head. I have been waiting a long time for this battle. Luo Li went into silence as she did not speak any longer. Furthermore, she knew that this battle before her eyes belonged to Mu Chen. Be cautious. Luo Li and Wen Qingxian exchanged a glance as they both slowly backed off and shifted their cold gazes towards Shui Qinhe, who was gravely injured and embedded in the battle stage by Mu Chen. Although he had already lost all of his fighting strength, the two girls clearly despised of all his despicable actions earlier, thus, they would definitely not let him off so easily. Mu Chen wasn't bothered by Shui Qinhe's situation as he slowly rose into the air, before standing right in front of Ji Xian as they faced each other. Ji Xian's gaze was cold. Ever since Mu Chen appeared, his gaze was fixed on him as chill and killing intent intertwined in the depth of his eyes. In the end, he outlined a savage smile and slightly leaned his head as he stared at Mu Chen. I never thought that you'd be able to escape. What a surprise. This is only the beginning of your surprise. Mu Chen smiled. However, there wasn't any warmth in his smile as cold killing intent was also present in his eyes as he felt the disorder of spiritual energy around Luo Li. Clearly, she was injured from her earlier battle with Ji Xian. Ji Xian lightly shook his head as he answered, It doesn't matter now since you're able to escape. It merely fits my intention. I wonder, if I thoroughly defeat you here, will those students of the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy still revere and have confidence in you? He clearly saw the splendor burst out from the innumerable students of the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. If he defeated Mu Chen now, those eyes would only be lit for a moment, before dimming down. Which would be a wonderful thrill for him. Mu Chen smiled, but he did not reply to his words. He slowly clenched his fists as boundless spiritual energy became like a volcano as it erupted. Boom! A gush of powerful spiritual energy fluctuated around Mu Chen. The robust even surpassed before. MHM? Third grade spirit disaster? Ji Xian's brows twitched as he sensed that spiritual energy fluctuation as a smear of mockery was revealed from the corner of his lips. Looks like you benefited quite a bit in the Mirror of Judgment. Before entering the Mirror of Judgment, Mu Chen's strength was only at first grade spirit disaster, and right now, his power had reached the third grade spirit disaster. Evidently, this showed that Mu Chen had broken through second grade spirit disaster in the Mirror of Judgment. However, this level of spiritual energy doesn't have the slightest threat to me right now. Ji Xian smiled as his face instantly turned cold. His finger pointed out as a sizable divine light gushed forth from the sovereign sea behind him. It turned into a corporeal form, shuttling through space and shot towards Mu Chen. With a casual point of his finger, the spiritual energy fluctuation had far surpassed the experts of third grade spirit disaster. Boom! Yet when the astonishing spiritual energy ripples of divine light shot over, Mu Chen still maintained a calm expression as brilliant lightning burst forth from his body. Those lightning bolts were like starch as they coiled around Mu Chen and swiftly integrated into his body. TSK. TSK. Mu Chen's skin turned utterly radiant like silver from the flickering of lightning as numerous lightning runes appeared with flickers on his chest. 1 rune, 5 runes, 7 runes, 8 runes, 9 runes. Right now, Mu Chen's lightning god's physique had actually reached the height of Nona lightning physique. When the 9th lightning rune appeared, Mu Chen's black pupils looked to have been forged from lightning. With lightning flickered within them, it was like a world of lightning. He strode forth and threw a punch out. Rumble. Despite his fist looking slow, it only took an instant for it to slam against the divine light. Lightning gushed out as it tore the divine light apart in an overbearing manner with just a fist. You trying to contend against a sovereign with the strength of your physique? What a ludicrous dream. Seeing the starch of lightning around Mu Chen's body, Ji Xian's gaze was grave as he sneered. Although he felt that Mu Chen's current physical body was compelling, it was too naive for Mu Chen to think that he could contend against him. You considered a sovereign realm expert? Mu Chen smiled as he focused his gaze onto the vast sovereign sea behind Ji Xian. He lifted the corner of his lips and slowly said, "It's just an incomplete sovereign sea." Did you really think that? Only you have it. Hearing Mu Chen's words, Ji Xian abruptly shrunk his eyes. This episode ends here. Thanks you for watching.